Do 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 biddy do biddy biddy. Day Tripper. Absolute tune. Chock-a-block with things that make Ringo sound so much like Ringo, which means you can sound like Ringo too, because I'm going to tell you what those things are. As you may already know, this series isn't quite about me teaching you how to play this song note for note, but it's about how to perform it well and to make it sound like the original drummer. So let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to talk about in this song is probably the most technical part, which is the 6-stroke drum fill, which happens at the very beginning and also in different places throughout the song. There's a couple ways you can approach this. I personally would go for the inverted paradiddle diddle route, which goes
right, left, left, right, right, left.
And that in itself is quite a technical thing, especially if you're brand new to drums. You can try and do this as single strokes, so just right, left, right, left, right, left. But make sure you practice this to a metronome. Remember, this is 6 tuplets, so you'll be counting this
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Still pretty fast either way. So if you choose to go the single stroke route, then I suggest you check out some of the videos I've already done on single strokes. The link should be down there in whatever is down there, whether it be a description or something else. If you go the 6-stroke roll route or the inverted paradiddle diddle route, that is the one I personally prefer, and it will set you up well for things like Motown. But stringing 2 of these together might take a bit of time, so be gentle with yourself, be kind with yourself, take it nice and slow, make sure you use a metronome. Just play it on the snare drum.
Right, left, left, right, right, left.
If you need to accent that first right, just to start to feel comfortable and to know where you are within the bar, feel free to do that. Either way, you're going to have to get that up to quite some speed. So remember, at the very least, try your best to stay relaxed, regardless of whatever technique you use. This is going to be happening through beat 3 and beat 4. You're doing 2 6-tuplets. Now, once you've got this fill down, next up is the groove, which has something very, very important when it comes to sounding like Ringo. Probably couldn't tell what that was, but make sure your hi-hats are even as you can make them and nice and light on top of the hi-hat. Instead of going for a full, chunky, up-down rock pattern, it's not quite what you want in this scenario. Ringo often played very evenly. So try your best to aim for that, especially when you're playing on ride cymbal as well. We've got to be conscious of that as we play the entire song. And that's basically your first verse covered. The next thing that happens that's important to note is in the chorus. So this is your chorus. Pretty straightforward. It's basically your Motown-ish kind of groove. Make sure this hi-hat is nice and even, and everything else is quite driving because we're in the chorus. It's quite an energetic part of the song. So in the second half of the chorus, we've got something worth noting, which is that double note happening. This is an important detail to get if you want to make this sound like Ringo is playing it, if you've been called to do this at the very last minute. It's just one of those details to add in that makes you sound like you know what you're doing when in fact you may not. If you keep your hi-hat just going and consistent, that's all that's really important. Just make sure there's that double skip note in the middle. If you want to hear what I'm talking about here in context, then feel free to check out the timestamp below. Now, the R's section, the really long bit where they say R for a really long time, you could also call it a build-up. What's interesting about this is, first of all, it's 12 bars long. Awkward already. But what makes it even more confusing is it's kind of played as if it's in blocks of 3 bars. It gives you that feeling like it's building up, but you don't know when it's building up. So it's quite cool, really. But for us having to sit and count it, if you don't know this piece of information, it's a bit confusing. So now you know. Anyway, so the first set of 3, if you will, starts off with basically just a kind of loose train beat-ish, crash on 1, and then you come down to the snare drum using 8th notes. 3 bars of that. You can flam that if you want, bringing the sticks down together. Just sounds cooler to me that way, but there's no strict yay or nay on that, whether you should or shouldn't. The next set of 3 is actually exactly the same as that, so you keep doing. The third set of 3 is where things start to change up. We stay on the crash cymbal, but you're also playing the pulse in the left hand. And that's only for 1 bar. And then your left hand is going to join you in your right hand playing the 8th note. And then another bar. And this brings you to your last set of 3. So this is basically all 3 limbs playing 8th notes. Also building into another lovely crescendo. If you struggle with foot speed, here's my loose piece of advice. So this is basically to the people who are currently playing this with their heel down. If you're struggling with foot speed, with your heel down, my simple advice, the cliff notes of my advice, is put your foot a little bit further back and lift your heel up just a little bit and let the weight of your leg do a lot of the work for you. You're still using the ball of your foot a little bit, but you're taking advantage of the fact you've got big fat gams. This might take a little while to get used to, but once it's there, it's a very useful technique to have in your back pocket that helps you gain a bit more speed. Fundamentally, as long as you count 12 bars and you build up in some way, shape or form in the form of 8th notes, you're probably in the clear. But just remember it's 12 bars long. That's the bit that usually slips people up. This last thing I want to talk about is just towards the end, the drum fills start to change into these kind of triplets around the toms, played as flams. It's a very, very Ringo thing to do. You may also hear this on songs like Ticket to Ride as well. You've just got 2 beats of open hi-hat grooviness, and then you're just going to play a big fat quarter note triplet around whatever toms you so wish. You can have some creative freedom on this one. So there you have it. Day Tripper, all the little details you're going to want to know, basically the cliff notes of how to play and sound like Ringo in a very short space of time. Hope that helps. Big love.